Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are back with more news and politics for Monday, August the 26th, 2024. So let's go ahead and hop into this here. The first story we have is from The Lever. Kroger and Albertsons' dirty tricks to preserve greedflation. As Harris vows to tackle grocery store prices, the grocery chains are doing everything they can to bypass regulators and merge into a price gouging behemoth. Yeah, if these two combine, the resultant company, along with Walmart, I think they said control around 70% of total supermarket chains. As Vice President Kamala Harris campaigns on tackling skyrocketing grocery prices, two of the country's largest grocery chains are doing everything they can to merge into a price gouging behemoth. As legal proceedings began on Monday, August the 26th, to stop the merger of Kroger and Albertsons. Behind the scenes, the companies have spent millions in corporate lobbying, sued to dismantle the country's long-standing antitrust machinery, and even erased potentially incriminating evidence about the merger's anti-competitive impacts, according to court documents reviewed by The Lever. If successful, the chain's efforts might not just raise prices, limit product diversity, and harm workers, but could cripple government agencies working to investigate corporate malfeasance and protect consumer rights. And again, this is for the almighty dollar. Companies raise the stakes of these antitrust cases and are basically attempting to intimidate and drain federal regulators out of challenging mergers, said Basil Musharbash, an attorney with the Anti-Monopoly Council, a law firm based on antitrust and policy issues affecting rural America. In October 2022, Kroger, the country's largest supermarket chain, announced an agreement to acquire Albertsons, the country's second largest supermarket chain, for $24.6 billion. The merger is allowed to, if the merger is allowed to go through, would create a massive conglomerate of nearly 5,000 stores and 710,000 employees, making it the third largest private sector employer in the nation, behind Amazon and Walmart. In February 2024, the FTC sued to block the merger, saying that it would lead to less competition, lower quality products, and erase aggressive competition for workers. And Lena Khan is absolutely right on that. The supermarket mega merger comes as the American consumers have seen the cost of groceries rise steadily over the past few years, according to Henry Liu, director of the FTC's Bureau of Competition. Kroger's acquisition of Albertsons would lead to additional grocery price hikes for everyday goods, further exacerbating the financial strain on consumers across the across that consumers face across the country today. A 3-week hearing related to the lawsuit began on August the 26th, today, in which the FTC is attempting to temporarily halt the merger, while a more thorough case on the matter is being argued before the FTC's Internal Administration Court sometime in the future. Yeah. I mean, this is clear as a fucking bell. They shouldn't be allowed to merge. But money, 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 baby. Gotta make that money. But in a lawsuit filed August 19th in federal court in Cincinnati, Kroger, which owns Dillon's, Fred Meyer, Harris Teeter, King Soopers, Ralph's, and other stores, alleged that the FTC's Internal Administrative Court, which hears arguments on evidence and issues an internal decision on antitrust matters, is unconstitutional. I trust them a lot more than I trust you. Let's say that. Experts say Kroger is seeking to sidestep nearly 100 years of precedent and instead have a federal court rule on the merger. Kroger issued a statement the same day it sued the FTC, claiming that the agency's actions in blocking the merger were unconstitutional. The merger between Kroger and Albertsons is squarely focused on ensuring we bring customers lower prices starting day one, while securing the future of good-paying union jobs. Kroger's CEO Rodney McMullen said in an August the 19th press release, "We stand prepared to defend this merger in the upcoming trial in federal court." Fuck you. Honestly. Why? To make more money. Don't matter how much it screws over the average person. They just want more money. And yeah, that's gotta end. It really does. It really does. Albertsons, which owns Acme Markets, Jewel Osco, Safeway, Shaw's, Vons, and other stores, has also spent more than $7.6 million lobbying Congress, the White House, and other regulators on outreach regarding proposed merger with Kroger. Yeah. Look, if there's anything, we shouldn't be allowing further mergers. We should be breaking companies up. We're at that point. It needs to be start breaking companies up. They don't need to get bigger. No. This is just pure and simple, utter greed. Anyway, on to the next story. From ProPublica, a 10-year-old kid pointed a finger gun. No weapon. This, right here. Principal kicked him out of his Tennessee school for a year. When Belle got a call last September that her 10-year-old had been sent to the vice principal's office, she rushed over to the school. Her son, Lee, looked on anxiously as the vice principal explained the situation. The fifth grader had angrily pointed his finger in the shape of a gun. Woo! Bell scolded him for not thinking about before he acted, agreeing with administrators at the East Tennessee Public Elementary School who felt that he had misbehaved. Oh Lord, East Tennessee. Where in East Tennessee does this take place? I lived in East Tennessee for a while. While Lee sat at home for a few days serving a suspension, the principal called Bell. The schools conducted an investigation and determined that Lee will be kicked out for an entire calendar year. I regret that it has come to this, the principal wrote in a subsequent letter, which Bell provided to ProPublica. At Bell's request, ProPublica is identifying her and her son by their middle names and leaving out the name of the district and school to prevent her child from being identifiable. In the letter, the principal added that the district and the state of Tennessee take such threats very seriously. The stupidity you want to push, you go fucking overboard over finger guns. Goddamn stupidity. I love the beauty of this Appalachian region. It's beautiful, it's amazing, but there are some stupid fucks who make life here difficult as all get out. Anyway, yeah, on to the next article. Since we mentioned the whole Albertsons Kroger merger, I thought this would be interesting, showing the biggest store shopped at for each state. Remember, I think it's Albertsons that owns Safeway. So yeah, whole Pacific Coast, Utah, and a number of these states here go all together with Kroger, which is this big swath here. Now, some of them are interesting stores I've never heard of. Dillon's was one that was mentioned by, owned by one of them. King Supers. It shows you, Harris Teeter, how much will be owned by this conglomeration if they're allowed to combine. Piggly Wiggly in Wisconsin. Wow. There's still states where Piggly Wigglies are the best. There's Joe Osco, another one that was mentioned. Yeah, that's Piggly Wigglies, Alabama and Mississippi. Publix are big in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. Virginia has Food Line, baby. It's one of those weird, yeah, it's different. Stop and Shops look to be all over uh, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Maine. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Hannaford is Maine, and Vermont. New Hampshire, Market Basket. Acme, Giant. But yeah, knowing that combination, that the attempted merger we just read, and seeing all the other markets that we also recognize were owned by the two, yeah, they cannot be allowed to merge. That would be devastating. And as I've already said, mergers shouldn't be something we allow. We need to start banning, breaking up a lot of these conglomerates. But yeah. That's scary. It really is. Kroger, Albertson, Safeway, and then a number of small ones, Harris Teeters, Osco, Supers, Dillon's. Almost every state here would be owned by one of a store from one of those chains, from that giant conglomeration. It needs to be broken up. It really does. Because when you get that big, yeah, there's no sense in that. You know, Publix is fine, 3 states. Piggly Wiggly, 3 states. That's fine. Stop and Shops up here, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. But you look at Kroger, Albertsons, Safeways, Dillon's, King Supers. This is just ridiculousness. No, they shouldn't be allowed to merge at all. It shouldn't even be a question. But that's where we're at in America. Money, 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 baby. Let's look at some pictures across history here. Desmond Thomas Doss and his wife Dorothy, after receiving the Medal of Honor from President Truman on August the 12th, October 12th, 1945. So more likely for his service in World War II. Doss and his wife. And there, of course, around his neck, Medal of Honor. What else have we got here? Charles Lindbergh, the famous pilot, flew across the Atlantic, awarded the Service Cross of the German Eagle. The medal was presented by Hermann Goering on behalf of Hitler in 1938. So I would assume this is right before the march of the Nazis started their march across Europe. Goering, I believe, would be the highest ranked Nazi to be tried at the Nuremberg trials. If I'm remembering correctly. Well, yeah. But, you know, hey, he's receiving this honor from Germany. Speed ahead 2 years, and yeah, World War II's going on. But anyway, now let's look at some news stories here. This is from KCBD 11 in Texas. Texas removes more than 1 million, they say it's ineligible voters, from the rolls. This is closer to the fact. 1.1 million removed from states' voter rolls. If you know anything, I've already mentioned this. Leonard Leo, the guy who put the right-wing Supreme Court together, he's already been trying to help certain swing states remove voters. So the fact that Texas would do it, I'm not surprised in the least bit. They are doing what they can to rig this election. They know what they are trying to do is unpopular with the people, but they don't care. They're going to try to rig it as best they can. From CBS News, Chipotle illegally denied raises to unionized workers, labor watchdog says. Look, Americans deserve to be paid properly. They deserve the right to form unions, to be a part of unions. If you don't like that, too bad. Pay your workers, treat them right. You know, but you all don't. So this is why unions exist. To push you all back into place. From the AP, man charged with making online threats to kill election officials in Colorado and Arizona. What do you want to bet? He's a Trump supporter, or at least a Republican supporter. A 45-year-old Colorado man was charged Monday with making numerous online threats to kill election officials and others in Colorado and Arizona. Teak Ty Brockbank, 45 of Cortez, was arrested Friday and made an initial appearance in court on Monday in Durango on the charge of transmitting interstate threats. A conviction carries a maximum penalty of 5 years in federal prison. He remains in custody pending a detention hearing on Wednesday. We allege that the defendant made detailed death threats against election officials, judges, and law enforcement officers, Attorney General Merrick Garland said in a statement. Their names were redacted from court records. In 2021 and 2022, online accounts on the Rumble and Gab forums that investigators said belonged to Brockbank posted the threats, including to shoot or hang various officials. In August 22, an account believed to belong to Brockbank posted on Rumble. So those of us who have the stomach for what has to be done should prepare our minds for what we will all are going to do. It is time. People, if you are willing to threaten and kill, you don't deserve the right to vote. If you want to threaten and kill people who actually are just trying to help democracy along, to do their civic duty, because you don't want a fairly elected official, you want a dictator. Yeah. Also from the AP, Tennessee Republican leaders threaten to withhold funds as Memphis preps to put guns on the ballot. You know, to allow the people to vote. Just to put it on the ballot, to let democracy take place. The state Republicans shit themselves so badly they threatened to cut funds. What, you don't think the people should have the right to vote? Or is it because they're going after your God-loved guns? Oh, these guns are more valuable than your life. Fuck you people. I mean, honestly, it's how they fucking act. Tennessee's top Republican leaders on Monday threatened to withhold tens of millions of dollars in state funding from left-leaning Memphis should leaders continue with plans to place 3 local gun control initiatives on the November ballot. Earlier in the year, Memphis City Council approved asking voters in November if they wanted to tweak the city charter to require permits to carry a handgun, ban the possession of AR-15 style rifles, and implement a so-called red flag ordinance, which allows law enforcement officials to remove firearms from those found to be an imminent danger to themselves or others. And this is just to ask voters, to let them vote on it. It's not actually removing it. It's saying, now let's have citizens vote on whether they want this or not. No. Republicans are freaking the fuck out because democracy may push back on what they get big money from. Yeah. I see more Second Amendment defenders want to protect guns more than human lives. I see it all the fucking time. And look, I think you should have the right to own a handgun, a rifle, a shotgun. Some people like to go hunting. Some people feel the need for self-defense or home defense. You don't need an AR-15 style rifle. Who the fuck needs it? You go, well, I have the right to carry. So what? What purpose do you have? What purpose? I'm waiting, dumbass. Are you going to go hunting with your AR-15? You know, you could get a 308 and go hunting. No. You're too much of a goddamn bitch. The city council has been discussing the ballot measures for more than a year, acknowledging at times that they were potentially risking the ire of the Republican-dominant legislature since the measures likely conflict with Tennessee's lax gun laws. Oh, Lord, have mercy. This is an attack on all rights to freely own guns. Yeah, fuck you. They're letting the people vote, and you're being a bitch. Get over it, fucktard. Anyway, from Business Insider, America's most boring job is on the brink of extinction. I don't think that was... the article I clicked on. I don't know what it's doing, where the article went that I was trying to look at, because I don't think that was supposed to be the job I was looking at. We'll just close it. USA Today. This, yeah, because I am a huge Foo Fighters fan. Foo Fighters will donate to Kamala Harris after Trump used their song, My Hero. I absolutely agree. Way to go, guys. That's absolutely what you should do. Well, to be fair, you probably shouldn't donate to Kamala, but yeah, sue the fuck out of Trump. He shouldn't have the right to use y'all's song. Sue that motherfucker. Dave Grohl's a cool guy. One of the coolest motherfuckers. But yeah. I just thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. Cymex. Talking to people about how 97% of climate scientists agree on climate change can shift misconceptions. You know, I often thought these people already understood. It's a pretty universally agreed upon thing. But apparently, there's people whose heads are buried so far in the sand that they think it's just a made up thing. It's not. It's real, people. From SciPost. Experiencing extreme heat can weaken climate change conspiracies, research suggests. Duh, we are going through extreme heat bouts now. What country was it they said hit a new record high of 107? I can't remember which country I saw that, but yeah. I thought this was pretty interesting. From BBC, U.S. rapper Macklemore cancels Dubai show over Sudan war. I love that he takes a stand. He takes a political stand. He don't care. And that's what I love. Sinead O'Connor got attacked because she pushed back on who the Pope was. And forever got blacklisted because of it. But I still have immense respect for the woman, even though she passed away a little while back. Macklemore, what you're doing is the right thing. You are supposed to speak out and not just let destruction happen. From the Telegraph, Ukraine orders Belarus to withdraw troops from the border. Yeah, apparently Belarus is lining troops up on the border with Ukraine. I'm like, dude, are you seriously going to suck off Russia that much? Special Operations Forces and Wagner mercenaries said to be among personnel amassed under pretext of military drills. From Euromate, Maiden. Explosion and fire occur in Russia's largest oil refinery in Omsk. Or Omsk. Not sure how it's pronounced, but yeah. Still remains unclear if Ukraine was involved in the explosion at Russia's biggest oil refinery located over 2,000 kilometers or 1,242 miles from the Ukrainian border, but this incident comes amidst increased Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian oil infrastructure. I mean, honestly, Russia wanted to be the big bad and try to push its way in. You know, you had no real reason, but Putin, being the big goddamn pussy he is, I feel that Ukraine is Russian territory. I should own it. You know, NATO built up. Dude, fuck you. This is from Reuters. No agreement in Gaza ceasefire talks in Cairo. Process to continue, sources say. So, yeah, the ceasefire talks in Egypt, Cairo. And of course there's no agreements. Netanyahu don't want an agreement. Why do you think he's looking at attacking other nations like Lebanon? He knows he's trying to keep his ass in office. He knows He's hanging on by the skin of his fucking teeth. Netanyahu has to go before there can be peace. Period. The Irish Independent. We need to start moving people and key infrastructure away from our coast, warned climate scientist. I gotta give Ireland credit. They're the most common sense, down to earth. They're what America should be. We should be using science. We should have a heart and be like, no, genocide should not be fucking happening. Keep up the good work, Ireland. We'll close it then and head on to these videos. In Arizona, a woman was arrested during a city council meeting for questioning the salaries of city officials. The incident, which occurred in front of her 10-year-old child. So, yeah.
Legal review that I am entitled
Ms. Massey,
to request.
I've got to interrupt you here because...
Okay, are you going to stop the timer?
This is the public...
Numerous public records requests that I have open right now that are, quote, pending legal review that I am entitled
Ms. Massey,
to request.
I've got to interrupt you here because...
Okay, are you going to stop the timer?
This is the public meeting forum that you agree to when you speak, and I want to read this to you, that there are oral communications during the city council meeting may not be used to lodge charges or complaints against any employee of the city or members of the body, regardless of whether such person is identified in the presentation by the name or by any other reference that tends to identify him or her.
That's all fine, well and good, but that's a violation of my First Amendment rights.
Yeah, so that's, well, this is your warning, okay?
Warning. Fuckers like that, no. This is when you need to rip the shrouds off and expose them to the fucking light. Light is the best goddamn disinfectant for motherfuckers like that.
Warning for what?
A warning for attacking the city attorney personally.
This is all factual
It
information.
doesn't matter.
You're violating my First Amendment rights.
This is what you agreed to when you first speaking. This is the form.
It is
So, citing specifics, freedom of speech is what they use their city ordinances to push back against. Fuck you. What city was this? I don't think I saw. It just was Arizona.
unconstitutional, Mayor Hall.
Well, it's not unconstitutional.
It is.
And if you're
The
gonna-
Supreme
if
Court
you're
has
gonna
upheld. I
continue-
could get up here and I could swear at you for 3 straight minutes, and it is protected
No,
speech
no, you
by the
can't.
Supreme Court.
Yes,
It is.
you can.
Why don't you look at case law?
No, you can't.
I
Yes,
can.
you can.
So if you want to be...
Also, the chair is
if you
engaged
wanna
in
be
debate,
esc-
so
do you
point
want
of
to be
order.
escorted out of here? Do you want to be escorted out
You
of here?
read a
violating my
lesson
First
in how the
Amendment rights.
fucking
You are
law
violating my
works,
First Amendment
how the
rights.
That's your opinion.
Constitution works.
It's not a
Okay.
matter of opinion.
Do you want to be escorted out, Ms. Massey? Because that's what's going to happen. And it's going to happen in the future also. Anytime you attack
That's
any
why you changed
staff
the
member
rules.
or any.
That's why you
city-
changed the rules.
This has been on the back of this form.
I understand, Mayor Hall, but that is completely
Fuck your
unconstitutional.
form,
No, it's-
motherfucker.
You're also engaging in debate, and so you should actually be
Anyway,
yielding the floor to somebody else
okay,
managing.
Chief, could you have somebody come down here and escort Ms. Massey out of
Really,
this
is that
chamber?
necessary?
Yes, I
In
think
front
it
of my
is.
10-year-old daughter,
No.
you're going to escort me
That's
out
fine.
for expressing my
She
First
can go
Amendment
with you.
rights.
She can go with you.
I'm not leaving.
Well,
I'm expressing my first. Do not touch me. Do not put your hands on me.
You just step out with me.
Do not put your hands on me.
Come on out.
Do not put your hands on me.
Come out with me now before you get arrested. Do you understand?
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Fuck this
Why are you
goddamn
taking my charges?
fucking Arizona city.
Under what charges?
okay, so
Hey, I have personal property. Hold on. You cannot trespass me.
yeah, I know. She can go out there. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into e-session.
Motion to go into e-session?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We're going into e-session.
Yeah, fuck you, motherfucker. Fuck you. You are one of the slimiest fucks. Yeah, fuck this motherfucker. Ceasefire activist gives brilliant interview at the DNC protest.
Hey, Russell Davila from New Dissidents. Can I ask you a couple of questions? All right, so what brought you out here today?
I'm here to send a clear message to the Democratic Party and the Democratic candidates for office this fall that the people will no longer support unconditional aiding and abetting of genocide, and we stand for a complete arms embargo on Israel, sanctions, end of U.S. aid to Israel, and a permanent and immediate ceasefire.
Now, what do you say to people who say, well, you're going to get Trump elected?
Oh, God. I have a lot of things to say. Okay, well, the first thing is I want to say that that's a form of emotional blackmail. This is the rhetoric.
It is. Unfortunately, we are trapped in the two-party bullshittery. But people shouldn't be guilted or attacked for not wanting to back a candidate for their actions. It doesn't mean they want the other fucking candidate either. It's just our fucking election system sucks balls.
Of abusers, right? That we say, oh, well, you don't like one thing? Well, what are you going to think of the other guy, right? And I think that this is an unsustainable system, and I'm actually looking out for the sustainability of our country in years to come. Because if we continue to tell ourselves that we're stuck between the healthier of Pepsi and Coke, we will only have the healthier between Pepsi and Coke. But if we don't threaten a vote, if we don't say no arms embargo, no vote, no sanctions, no vote, right? We will never be able to leverage any real political accountability. And we've seen materially, we've seen the effects of this only in just a few months. I mean, Governor Walz got up right after the Minnesota primaries on CNN, and he said openly, that was the first time he said the situation in Gaza is intolerable. He hadn't said a word about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, and what prompted him to do so was that 1 in 5 Minnesota Democrats voted uncommitted, right? Because of a one-week grassroots movement to get people to vote uncommitted. Now think about how far we will go if we can leverage more civic momentum, if it's not just a one-week-long movement in which voters across the board are rising up and saying, we will no longer vote for this just because it's better than the other guy. That is not going to be our standard anymore. And when we tell ourselves that that is our standard, we will only be...
And it shouldn't be the standard. It absolutely shouldn't. I say this over and over, and I push this. We are the biggest first world democracy. But we only have two parties, two viable parties. Come on. I mean, seriously? You think there's only two ideologies in this country? It's a rigged system because the two big parties don't want to have to share with other parties. They don't like sharing with each other. You know? So this is why we need more parties to hold them in account. It forces extremism down. Because when you can just look at another choice and be like, this is better, I'm voting that. You know, an actual choice that has a chance of getting elected, yeah, it forces extremism down. But the two parties don't want to do that. They're scared shitless of having actual challenge.
Be stuck in this bind between two options, and in years and years to come, our children and grandchildren will be told that they have to vote Democrat, they will have to vote for unconditional Zionism just because it's not as Zionist as the other guy. Slaughter, but better slaughter. Slaughter, but more effective slaughter.
So what do you think? A lot of progressives who claimed they weren't going to vote for Joe Biden, and they were kind of making noises about not voting for Kamala because of Palestine, because of Gaza. As soon as she picked Waltz, they started talking about his domestic policies in Minnesota. And my partner at Due Dissidence has often made the point, once again, the Palestinian people are being sold out.
Here's the problem. While what's going on between the Palestinians and Israel is hugely important, it is a matter of morality. A lot of people just won't care if their personal lives are affected unless they're affected directly, because their lives are still based on the kitchen table matters. How thin is my bank account? While prices are going up. You wonder how Hitler was able to make a whole country follow him. If he made their lives seem somewhat better, then people would vote for him despite the atrocities, because they went through hell following World War I. But you make people's lives marginally better, they'll excuse things you do. So yes, Gaza, Israel, hugely important. It shouldn't be forgot about, but you've always got to pay attention to kitchen table and table mat issues. The things that affect people's day-to-day lives in the country. It ain't right. But unfortunately, that's the way it is. you need to make people's lives better while maintaining a level of morality. So stop the Gaza genocide. You know, save lives. But you also need to make people's lives better around the kitchen table issues. Because it's hard to gather support otherwise.
For a free lunch. Do you feel that way about the way have you seen a lot of progressives change their minds when she picked Waltz, and how do you feel about that?
Yes, I've seen a lot of progressives do that, and to that I would say this is short-sightedness, and actually this is blindness. This is clear blindness towards Walz's history of policies towards Israel and towards the Palestinian people and his Palestinian constituents. So I am from the state of Minnesota, actually, and I am a leader in the Minnesota community, and I was actually just part of a delegation of Minnesota Palestinian families that had a meeting canceled on the spot with like literally 2 minutes before it was supposed to happen, as we were seated in the room, after 10 months of Walz refusing to meet with Palestinian constituents. But on the flip side, he right away rushed to synagogues and stand with Israel rallies right after October 7th. So I'm a living proof of how Walz treats his Palestinian constituents, and that is that he turns a blind eye to them. He doesn't treat them with respect at all, right? He treats them as subhuman, yeah? But also, if you look at it materially, Walz sits on this Minnesota State Board of Investments, which invests over $157 million in Israeli companies, and that's just Israeli companies, $157 million, of state pensions in Israeli companies. That doesn't include, by the way, weapons manufacturers like Lockheed Martin, like Boeing, like, security companies like Elbit, etc., that are also complicit in violence against the people of Gaza. So he is investing Minnesota money in the military-industrial complex. He is...
Yeah, that's... See, I hear all the attacks that come at Walz from the right wing, and it's just whiny-ass bitch shit. She's making a serious point. And it is something that must be seriously considered.
Has also funded a $1.3 million Minnesota state taxpayer subsidized grant. It's funded by Minnesota taxpayer money, a grant to construct a Lockheed Martin facility in St. Paul, Minnesota. And he called that good news for Minnesota. He has a history of being a friend to war, a friend of slaughter of the Palestinian people, and we ought to not turn a blind eye to it.
So you don't feel the free school lunches are enough to turn a blind eye to it?
As long as there are no schools standing left in Gaza, I don't think free school lunches matter.
All right, thank you very much. What's your name? Are you with an organization?
Sana Wazwaz, spelled SANAWAZWAZ, and I'm from American Muslims for Palestine, Minnesota.
All right, thank you very much.
Please clap.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of his policies are great, but yeah, knowing that, that's not good, Tim. You need to do better. You seriously, man. See, if Republican commentators had any balls on them, they would actually go with that. But no. They're not going to do that because they're big fans of Israel and the companies. So, yeah. Such bullshit. Final video. Former Israeli hostage Noah Argamani issued a statement on Instagram to correct media misinformation that reported she was beaten and had her hair cut in captivity. Argamani clarifies her hair hadn't been cut. She wasn't beaten, and her injuries came from a building collapsing after being bombed by the IDF. They've got a lot of text up here. No actual voice. But yeah. They're just showing where she gave the testimony and everything. But she was one of the hostages. She's like, look. And this has been repeatedly shown. The Palestinian hostage keepers treated them as kind as they could, being underground. So yeah. It baffles me how people can't see that Israel is at fault for all this. It's not to say that Hamas doesn't share part of the blame, but Israel's like a good 90-95% of the cause. But yeah, these were all the news and politics articles for the day of August the 26th, 2024. Monday. But it's already been just over an hour. I hope you all appreciated this, enjoyed this, appreciated this. I act like a elitist that you should be thankful for me for some reason. I hope you all enjoyed this. But, as always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting these sources and links in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.